Okay, here we are. Thank you so much for joining me, Donna. I'm so
Of
excited to have this
course.
conversation. Thank you for taking the time and
Of
having the
course. No
courage
problem.
to share your story. I know that can feel
Ah,
really vulnerable, but I think it's so important for people
thanks.
to
If there's more,
hear.
yeah, whoever it'll help, whoever it'll reach. It's
Yes.
good.
Yes. So, yeah, let's just start out. If you want to tell folks just a little bit about yourself and like your health history and just how
Yeah.
your health has been, just kind of through your life and then leading up to, before we start working together.
Yeah. I think now that I didn't know that I had a problem when I was younger because kinds of things aren't taught to you.
Yeah.
But now that I'm older, I realize that I started to have signs of future health problems probably around the age I was 10.
Yeah.
That's when I started to get this slimy taste in the back of my mouth when I was really young. And I would have heartburn. I would just get it. And I started dealing with probably the amounts of stress that a child shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
And I think that just helped, well, not helped, but accomplish the deterioration of my health,
Yeah.
which didn't help through my 20s.
Hmm.
I lived my 20s very well in that I had a lot of fun. And
Yes.
yeah, had a lot, too much fun. And so that didn't help either. But when you're in your 20s, all the things that are all your ailments, like you I don't know about other people in their 20s, but I was able to put them in the back burner. Like
Yeah.
I can ignore them because
Hmm.
you're in your 20s. But in my 30s, that's when I was unable to ignore. I think I got to the point where I had depleted so much of myself, both emotionally and physically, that I had to start paying attention to, okay, how do I fix this? Because it's starting to affect my life and it's starting to affect my kids' lives
Yeah.
because I was I used to be a happier person, or I used back then thinking in my 30s. I'm much happier now. I've just turned 40
Yeah.
and I haven't felt this good. But back then I was just riddled with anxiety
Hmm.
and sadness, which I'd always been taught, by my parents is just dust yourself off, like
Right.
don't there's nothing that can be done for that except to live,
Yeah.
ignore, suppress. And I just had real problems with food.
Hmm.
They would make me really tired. They'd give me heartburn. My hands are always swollen,
Hmm.
like swollen limbs were just habitual. That was my way of living. I thought that's how I looked.
Yeah.
And then when I was a teenager, I did go through a stint of an eating disorder, which I'm sure did not help. But for me, since I was young, the only way I could achieve weight loss is through being extremely extreme about it.
Yeah.
Like the way people lost weight so easily was just diet and exercise. Never worked for me.
Yeah.
Not even my teens. It's just like I had to stop eating, and that's what I did a lot. I think been yo-yo dieting since I was 15, all the way up until the point where I met you. Well, I had a stint where I started to look for holistic healers in my mid 30s.
Hmm.
And I was thankfully diagnosed with Hashimoto when I turned 38. And it wasn't even my doctor, it was a nurse practitioner.
Hmm.
All the doctors that I had seen beforehand were just like, oh, your heartburn is due to, low stomach acid. You need to take, the Tums. I can write you a prescription for Tums.
Hmm.
And it got to a point where all I could eat was broth because everything and the heartburn was so bad I couldn't even lay down.
Yeah.
I didn't know heartburn could be that painful,
Yeah.
and I just didn't know what to do. The doctors are just like, "Oh, you're fine. Your labs are fine. You're healthy. You do need to lose some weight." But I tell them I used to work. I work out 3 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they're just like, eat even less.
Yeah.
So I did, yeah. I was like, okay, all right, thanks a lot. So
Yeah.
I did stints of being a raw vegan,
Mhm.
which didn't suit me because I was always tired. I did stints of being a vegetarian, which didn't suit me because it just for my body, I just knew it wasn't right for me.
Yeah.
And I did do keto in 2018, and that was the closest I ever got to being okay with the food. The food was good and my body was good, but I don't think I was doing it right back then. And eventually things started to happen to my body where the doctors were just like, well, you're just gonna have to stop doing keto. And after doing this program with you, I learned all the things I was doing wrong. Because keto is great for my problem, which is what you taught me. I have Hashimoto, I have high cortisol, and there are things that I need to reset. And I was just eating all the junky keto food, and that caught up with me.
Yeah.
So I started researching Hashimoto after the nurse practitioner told me that's what I had. And she just let me know there's nothing I can really do for you. There's nothing that she said, I can wait until your thyroid is basically, she said, I can wait till your thyroid's dead, and then I can give you prescription drugs
to
help with that. And every doctor, I even went to an endocrinologist, is that what they're called?
Yeah.
And they all told me, well, your levels are not bad enough to give you drugs. All we can do is wait until they are and then give you drugs.
Yeah.
And that's basically what I had been told for 4 years.
Yeah.
So I was just trying to do research on my own on how to do it.
Yeah.
But there's only so much I could get from books. And a lot of people who want to help you with Hashimoto have had it. All they want to do is sell you their products.
Yeah.
that are really expensive. And one of them, I did a shake protocol with them, and it helped for a while. And then it gave me symptoms where I thought I was having a heart attack.
Oh, wow.
So I had to go to the ER because my palpitations were too much. But I didn't know what was causing it until I stopped taking all the things that person was selling, those products. And then I was in the same place. Like I knew what I had, but I didn't know how to fix it. And the tools that I had been given weren't right for me.
Yeah.
And then I went to another practitioner who I learned from, but it wasn't, the knowledge wasn't intensive enough to exactly know how to help me. It was a generalization for people who had Hashimoto. And I learned stuff about nutrition, but it's still, my body was just like, it was very frustrating because nothing, as hard as I tried, it was either I give up things and become this person forever, which excluded a lot of, I'm a mom and I work, it excludes a lot of my life, or I just ignore everything and just do what I want and just keep feeling worse and worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where I couldn't even get off the couch.
Yeah.
Every little thing my kids said was annoying, and I couldn't think. The brain fog was really crazy, and I would just wake up with this sense of doom, this impending, this dread. Like every morning would start, my eyes would open, and I would just be so terrified of the day. And then my doctor, she prescribed me antidepressants. She's like, well, this is what I could do for you. And my hair was falling out, and it was just like, and then I found you. And I was like, okay, let me try another practitioner. Let me see. And you're just like, you had like a laser pointer, and you're just like, this is what's wrong. It sounds like this is what's wrong. But first you have to do this. And I was just, it's really hard, but it's not really hard for too long. It's like, it's bearable.
Yeah.
And now it's been 10 months or almost 10 months with you. My hair is growing back again.
Yay.
Yes, I know. It's finally, I got baby hairs. They're coming back.
Oh my gosh, there's so many now. There's so many more since
that.
Even the last time I saw you. That's amazing.
It's coming back.
Yes.
My hair hasn't been this full in years. I'm
Wow.
saying since 2019. The swelling in my hands is gone. My hands used to look like sausages.
Mm.
Um, I'm completely off of the antidepressants. I don't need them anymore. I
Yay.
don't take them. I'm on no, I can sleep. I've been an insomniac since my dad is an insomniac still.
Yeah.
Everyone in my family is. I have recently like been able to sleep, which is so weird because my husband, 9 o'clock, he's just out and I'm just staring at him bitterly.
Yeah.
Snores. And now I can do it too. Like, it's crazy. I don't need to take melatonin. I don't need to do any other recreational things to get sleepy. I just freaking fall asleep, which is really
Wow.
nice. And this anxiety, I think, you live life, you have some, but it's normal. It's tough. It's manageable with the tools that you've shown me how to regulate myself.
Mm-hmm.
I can live. I can deal. It's not crushing anymore.
Yes.
I feel like I'm back in control.
Yeah.
And I know that there are times where because I'm human, I'll make mistakes. I will, not too bad. Like, there are some things that you can do off of Jennifer's plan. There are some times I don't want to be that person, but I know we make mistakes. There are some things you should never do. Like stay away from the starches. Don't do it. It's not worth it. Don't do the sugars. It's not worth it. But if you accidentally, I don't know, have some gin, you know how to fix yourself because of all the things that you've taught. You know how to you're like, okay, you've made your journey longer, but you're still on it. Yeah. So I'm really grateful. I'm so glad that the world universe led me to you, because if I don't even know where I would be, I'd be bald and I'd be on 3 medications and I'd be a terrible mom and I would be an angry person instead of just a human living. I'd be trying to figure out how to get through the day. And now I'm just like, I'm frolicking. I feel like I'm frolicking now.
Yes. Oh, thank you, Donna. So beautiful. I think your description is so powerful of what's happened in your life so far because, first of all, you recognize that a lot of the things you've dealt with were just kind of like normalized, right? Of just like, people just have that, just push through it. It's not a big deal. It's not bad enough yet. But there was something in you that knew, like, this isn't right. I shouldn't be like this. And things just kept getting worse. And you kept trying to find answers, right? It's not like you weren't trying. You were working with different doctors and different practitioners, and you tried different diets. So, I mean, you were really working and trying. It just wasn't quite right because you weren't able to find a way to look at it from kind of the more big picture perspective of like, okay, what's really going on?
Yeah, everyone was just giving me the same things, like have tea, eat more nuts, do more yoga,
right?
Like, okay, you're all telling me the same things, like, right? I need this, and it's not doing anything. It's doing surface. Everything I need to get into. I didn't even know that I needed to get into the bones and the roots until I met you. Right. And I didn't know how that could be done.
Yeah.
And now I just feel powerful.
Yeah.
I feel like, oh my God, like, I just can't stand that people don't know this. It's just not fair. It's not cool.
Yes.
And
yes.
You make it so bearable and you make it so affordable. I swear you should have like a statue.
Thank you. That's so sweet. That's so sweet. But I think that you're saying it exactly right. Like the things that people were trying to do for you before, it was like these little band-aids, right? Of just like, oh, add this little thing, right? And people were using the pills, right? Like the pharmaceuticals in the same way they were using nutrition or supplements of like, just take this pill. Okay, just eat more nuts. Right? Like it's not that simple. It's not just, okay, we put this piece in, we have to get back, like you were saying, to the bones and the roots and like, okay, what's really going on here? And we have to build from the bottom up. So you already just, Yes. So you already described a bit about some of the improvements you've seen, which is incredible, and we'll get more into that. But do you want to share a little bit about kind of what we went through together, and what the process was like for you, and what you feel like kind of has helped the most, just in terms of
Mhm.
diet and lifestyle and supplements
Yeah.
and all of that.
Um, you mean like describe the food and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, you can get into as much
Yeah.
detail as you want,
Okay.
but just kind of if you want to describe a little bit of like the process you went through and what you found to be
Uh,
most helpful or most
yeah.
effective. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I can do that. So the first, what we went through is when I explained to you what I explained to everyone, yours was different. And that it was scary because it was so something that people would say, don't do that. It's point where I had nothing. There's nothing. And I said, well, if it sounds so, if your program sounds so strange, that's probably because everyone else is doing it wrong and you're the only one doing it right. Like there, people are trying to keep us so far away from how to do it that doing it correctly comes off as wrong.
Hmm. It
So
sounds
the
like too
first,
extreme or kind of too
it
out
was
there.
too
Is that what?
extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first 2 weeks were really hard. Um, and I was really tired. What you told me to expect, it all the things you said to expect happened.
Hmm.
It was after the 2 weeks were over and I started to incorporate the things that I can have back in my diet again. The first thing I noticed was that vitamins work
Hmm.
because I could absorb the
Yeah.
freaking nutrients in them.
Yeah.
Never in my life, people, it was always like eating breath mints. Like I would take them, and because they told me, you need to take them,
Hmm.
but I never felt the benefits. You can actually feel, and you feel good, you feel it working, and it's like, what is this? It's a freaking vitamin getting absorbed into your body.
Yeah.
And after all the it's just crazy. I still can't get over it.
Yeah.
And then you realize when you stop taking vitamins, I mean, you're not dying, but you could feel the difference.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest for me, is, and also cutting out certain things, like things that I was doing with keto, was having certain foods that you say not to have
Hmm.
because they are keto friendly.
Right.
But when I cut them out, there's still a lot of foods I can have. The bad things that happened during keto didn't happen. Like
Yeah.
I used to get pain behind my left eye, and it would get swollen to the point where I had to go to an optometrist, and they were like, I don't know what's wrong with you. You're fine. And my
Hmm.
doctor was like, I don't know. And then they said just stop doing keto.
Hmm.
And when I stopped, it went away. But everything else went back wrong. Like
Right.
all the cortisol levels and everything else went wrong. But when you let me know the things that I needed to cut out of my diet, like tomatoes, I couldn't have them.
Hmm.
Um, certain ways to eat grain and or not grain, but like coconut flour and almond flour, when to have them,
Hmm.
how long to wait. When I did it the way, right way, sometimes I would get really angry. That's when I realized food for me was a coping mechanism for stress.
Yeah.
You get to a place where everyone has an addiction, and food was part of mine. And what I realized when I was going through things, I couldn't rely on the food that was hurting me, you know,
Hmm.
in the long run, because it wasn't helping me, it wasn't healing me.
Yeah.
And in that point, when I was just like, I'm trying to help my body, I can't have these bad things, but I was just so angry. And I think I aimed a little bit at you because I had to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And you were so sweet about it. I'm so appreciative. But after a while, after I got over that hump, it made me realize you didn't even realize you were using food to escape.
Yeah.
And it was really eye-opening for me. And I'm so glad that I didn't fall off the wagon. I just kept going because I've been able to cut out, now I'm able to recognize other things that I used to use to escape.
Mm.
And I've cut those things out as well,
Mm-hmm.
with the exception of, like a drink with a friend.
Sure.
But my brain feels different. Like
Yeah.
I can think differently. I process information differently. I see the world differently.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't think I don't even know who I am anymore. I'm such a happier person.
Yeah. Oh, so I mean, first of all, I love how you bring up that it's really different to do like a diet by definition, right? Just like
Mm-hmm.
keto that has all these technically keto compliant foods that you were eating before, right? And
Mm-hmm.
doing a diet that is really like healing and nourishing on like a cellular and like microbiome level, right? So I mean, you've been doing a ketogenic diet both times, but they were structured so different. You had completely different results. And I think that's so important for people to hear. But there are very nuanced ways sometimes that people
Yeah.
need to structure something uh, based on the imbalances that they have. And when you were really able to follow it in a way that was more nourishing and more taking the
Yeah.
nutrient contents into the foods into
Yeah.
account, it was a whole different experience.
Yeah. Like I was getting, the only thing that keto really did for me was give me the weight loss,
Yeah.
but everything else, more things broke in the meantime.
Yeah.
So with you, it was everything stopped breaking and
Yeah.
started repairing,
Yeah.
which is something I'd never experienced through food.
Yeah.
With food, I've never experienced. It's
Mm-hmm.
crazy because
Yeah.
so much of food is, ultimately, my whole life, I've been taught the majority of the foods that I like are evil.
Yeah.
So for you to point at things and say, no, you need these, but this is how you should eat
Mm-hmm.
is, it just felt like you were saying things that were wrong. But when I do it, I feel so much better.
Yeah.
And it just makes you realize how much of what's around, I don't, for other people, but for me, feels like it's out. It's not for me. It's better just to do it on my own.
Yeah.
Couldn't before, I couldn't think clearly.
Yeah.
And addressing parts of my life that weren't seemingly broken was not on a priority.
Right.
Because I was trying to just live life.
Yeah.
But once I was able to give my body what it needed to heal itself, it started to free up a lot more of my brain.
Yeah.
And my time to comprehend, to look at what I've been missing the whole time, because I've been so caught up in a self-destructive path, because it was either sink or not even swim. It was like float for a little while and
Yeah.
drown a little bit.
Yeah, when your brain actually starts getting proper fuel and nutrients, it's amazing how different like the world starts looking. Yeah.
It sounds crazy because if me in 2017 listening to me talk today would be like, what's really, it's so, there's no way to really know unless you just do it.
Yeah.
Just get there, freaking follow your protocol, because I'm telling you, I've done it all. I've done everything. I'm 40. I've seen other holistic practitioners. I've seen medical doctors. I've seen everyone in between. It's yours. It's Jennifer, you guys. It's hers. Trust me.
I'm just so happy at your results, and you've been so good at sticking with things. I think sometimes people expect really quick results because they're used to this medical model, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where, like things just resolve when you take a pill. But it's taken time. Like Donna's 10 months in, you guys.
It's
like
10 months.
Yeah. And you did see some improvements. Like I remember you had some like digestive improvements early on. Like there were things that happened that kind of kept you hooked in of like, okay, there's things happening, but
like
it's taken time.
Like I stopped bloating after every meal. That was a big thing, the bloating.
Yeah.
to the point where I couldn't, I became best friends with peppermint tea
Yeah.
because the bloating was so painful. And when I follow the protocol, I don't bloat.
Yeah.
And I know when I've veered off course because I bloat, and I know
Yeah.
exactly what I did,
Mm-hmm.
which I wouldn't have known had I not learned the right way. Like sometimes I'll find a food that looks appropriate because they hide things in it. Like if
Mm-hmm.
I just recently learned that people can put ingredients that you're not supposed to have in food, and if it's so little, they don't have to put it in the packaging.
Right.
But your body will tell you
Yeah.
that it's in there.
Yep.
So that's how I've learned about some foods that I thought were good.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh man, I can't have it.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I'm so glad that I know.
Yeah.
And not having it, not having that little delicious thing, that little, that the lust on the tongue is so not worth going back there, because you have
Yeah.
to work, especially in the beginning in your protocol, you have to work so hard
Yeah.
those first 2 weeks. You're just like, I don't ever want to do these 2 weeks again, so I'm not gonna mess up to the
Yeah.
point, because me and my body, we went through something. It's like going through war. Like
Yes.
you're bonded. You're like, okay, buddy, you and me, it's you and me now. We're not going back to that place to do it, but we're not doing it again.
Yeah. Well, and you've taken so much of the noise away, right? That now your body is giving you such clear messages. And like you said, you've cultivated this more positive relationship with your body that you can communicate more directly with each other now and
I
get
didn't know
really
it was a
important
thing.
information.
It's crazy. I didn't know that your bodies could tell you. I've heard about it, but I always just thought it was just like a saying.
Right.
But when you freaking eat the right stuff and you learn, your body tells you automatically, don't do that, or I need more of this, which is crazy, because when I used to be hungry, I used to just eat what tastes good.
Yeah.
But now it's, my body says, okay, you can eat what tastes good, but also I need these nutrients.
Yeah.
This is what you're lacking. Like, and it's, I don't even know. It's just so crazy.
Yeah.
Tell me what it needs, and then be able and know how to give it to it through your protocol.
Yeah.
And you don't sell special powders that only you can get through your program. Like,
so you obviously have a lot of improvements that you've talked about already. You had one particularly awesome test result come back, though. Do you feel like talking about that?
Yes. So the last time I got tested, my antibodies tested, was right before quarantine happened. Mm-hmm. And it's always the same. I've always have too many antibodies in my body, and my doctors, they don't know what to do. They don't. It just feels like they don't really care, because it's not important enough for them to care. Yeah. But it's like, it's debilitating to me, but they're like, whatever, you can live your life. It's another way to push through stuff. Just push through it.
Yeah.
And eat more Brazil nuts. That's like their answer to stuff. And so I recently, within the past 2 months, went back to the doctor, and I told her that I was off of my antidepressant. I told her I weaned myself off. I told her if she could redo my labs for Hashimoto. And she looked very confused about why, but she said, oh, but she's my doctor. She said, okay, I'll do it for you. And I got my results back, and it's in remission.
Yay!
It's in remission.
Yes.
I was diagnosed in 2018. I've had it since 2018. I've done everything. It's finally in remission. And that's what I tell people when they tell me the way you eat is crazy. I say, it's in remission.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yay!
It's crazy. It's so crazy. And she was dumbfounded. And that just tells you.
Yeah.
Sometimes medical doctors, you gotta step around them. when you I don't know, but it's still in remission. I feel great. My hair's growing back. The brain fog is lifting. My energy is normal. I'm not depressed. My anxiety is manageable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a freaking human being that's living life instead
Oh,
of trying to figure out how to live it. I'm just living it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so remarkable, Donna. I'm so
Oh, and
excited.
another symptom that I forgot. Every time I swallowed, clicks. It started to click less when going through your protocol. Instead of like clicking every time I swallow, it would click every 20th time, which is weird. And now there's no click at all. As of today, when I
Yay.
swallow, there's no click in my throat anymore.
Oh, so good. So good. Well,
Okay.
it's been so amazing seeing your progress and seeing you thrive and come back to life. And I'm so, so excited. You have worked so hard and done such incredible work. So I'm so proud of you. I'm so excited for you. I'm so appreciative of all the trust and willingness to do the hard work. It's just so
It's a
amazing
lot
to
of
see.
trust.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are there any last
And I
things you
thank
want to
you for
share?
okay. This is what I want to say to anyone that's on your page. It's not easy and it seems undoable, but it's totally doable. If I can do it, anyone can do it. Just freaking just do it. Just do it. It's when you look back, you're gonna say it's not as hard as I thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
It's just still going forward. It's so difficult, but
Yeah.
it's not going to feel difficult forever.
Yeah.
Do it. Just do it, and do it to Jennifer. I'm telling you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Donna, for coming on and spending your time talking with me today. And I'm sure people will so appreciate hearing your story.
Oh, no. Whatever we can do to help the community fight their
Yes.
autoimmunity without the unnecessary parts of it, of
Yes.
the medical field. Yes, I'm
Yeah.
for it.
Great.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to stop the recording.